So I don't know about you, but I think I'm ready to make a knife. Actually get a knife started, so I feel like I've done something here. So I drew up some knives, and I just kind of wanted to get his opinion on what he wanted. So this one in the middle is kind of more along the lines of what is in the photo that he sent me, but it's a pretty basic knife, you know, and we're doing a Sanmai with a Damascus clad and all that stuff. Super exciting. So, you know, I kind of wanted to know if he maybe wanted more of a drop point. This is a little bit more like a Spyderco kind of design, you know, add the little flip thing right here. And anyway, and then I figured maybe do a little recurve that has some shape to it, a little sexiness. And he ends up liking this one. So we're going to go with this design right here. The handle shape may change a little bit. I kind of don't like how flat it is up here. So we may add a little curve. I'm not quite sure yet. But this is to scale. We got 3.5 inches. We're about 4 inches from here to here, which his hand's about the same as mine, and 4 inches it gives me a nice solid grip on it right there. So, you know, we're going to add a little place to kind of lock his hand in right here, lock his hand in right there. But I'm not too sure about the back. I mean, we may end up swooping it down a little bit and doing some stuff like this. I don't know. But what I want to do is I made a copy of this. I want to keep this one for reference. And what I should have done was drawn the tang in there. But I'll do it on this one, because what we're going to do is actually cut this out and then transfer it onto our billet. So let's pretend, I'm just going to do this really quick. That's about the middle there. Not quite sure how big I want the tang. Pretty big up here. I mean, there's a small knife, so it doesn't have to be super bulky, but we'll just probably run it in like that. And this is actually going to be a through tang, so I'm going to take and I may actually angle this down a little bit so it heads over this direction. But I'm going to add a threaded rod here, and we're going to put a little nut on the back side to pull it all tight. So what I actually may do is come out here straight and then actually curve the tang just a little bit, so it's actually headed in that direction. So we'll call that about what I want to do. I may have to come down a little bit here. Go a little bit smaller right there. Okay. And then I'm just gonna cut this out really quick-ish. And it's just gonna be kind of basic cut. We'll refine the shape as we go. So it's best to be just a little bigger. And again, I'm not even sure if this is straight right here, but again, that's something that we can get figured out as we're cutting this blade out. Okay, so what I want to do is actually pull this middle out, and that's about what we're going to have when we're done right here. But what I want to do is actually pop this on here on the billet like this. so that we can kind of see where, like what pattern is going to be in the blade, so it can be, you know, shifted around. And what I'd really like to do is figure out a way to adjust this so that I could get another knife out of this somehow. I mean, like a little paring knife or anything really. But it'd be nice to not have too much waste in this billet. If this didn't have a core in it, I would have, you know, shaped the front a little bit. I guess I still could, but I really don't want to risk shifting that core to one side or the other. Another thing I might do is cut this tang short and then just weld on some mild steel. As long as I weld it decent, then everything will be fine. But let's see. Let's see. Let me pop this on here to see. Yeah, I'm not even sure I'll be able to get another blade out of this. I mean, maybe. I probably could. Like I said, a small paring knife or something of that nature. So let's see what we have here. If we kind of pop this down in this direction. Yeah, I don't know. That looks pretty decent, I think. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Plus we'll have, you know, it'll have the little black Harmiey edge on there. So I'm gonna grab a couple magnets. Actually got to scoot that down a little bit. Kind of getting too close to the edges here. Don't want to do that because I still have some mild steel along the edges. So I might just have to not worry about getting a second blade and just get this on here. Okay. Take my big fat marker and just go along the edges here. And actually, what I should be doing is spraying this with some blue dicum, because if this gets warm, this is just gonna fade away, or if I get it wet or whatever, it's gonna take this marker off of here. So, and I'm just gonna fill out the whole tang. Let me get this off of here. Yep, I think that is gonna be just fine. And it should have plenty to, like I said, get another something out of this. Let's see if I can get this cut out with the bandsaw instead of having to use the angle grinder. Let's try a different blade. This blade could be worn out. So I was out of blades and I didn't want to run to the Home Depot, so I just used the angle grinder, and I think it's fine. So I've got the work rest, and I've got my 8-inch contact wheel, and make a few adjustments here. But I've got the 8-inch contact wheel, and like I've said before, I use this because not as much heat is generated, and it tends to cut a little quicker because of the rubber. But all you have to do is just basically put a straight edge on here and then make sure it's lined up with the center point of the wheel, and then you'll be like right at the apex. So you will have a very slight curve, even less if you put on a bigger wheel, but not too worried about it. So let's get this get this shaped. Then I just use my little stick, the corner of the wheel. Not quite sitting on there straight, so I get rid of that little chunk of metal on there. And I'm not going all the way to the line, but I'm going to get close. Just want to stay a little large in case I need to make some changes. And the tang I'm not too worried about because that's going to probably be reshaped as we go anyway. And that's why I use the stick. Okay, got the basic shape done. What I want to do is put my file guard on here and then get a nice straight line where the shoulders are going to be. Blade, file guard, and Allen wrench. So pop that in there. Like that. And then hopefully I've got, oops, I'm going to switch that around. Hopefully I've got enough flat edge up here. Yeah, I don't think I do. So I need to take this and make sure I have that ground right. Yeah, I think we're okay. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to put that where I want the shoulders to be, and then just put a line. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but you can see where the drawing was versus like perpendicular to this top, which, I mean, it wouldn't be a big deal. So your guard would be a little bit angled. That's a good look in some knives. But anyway, so now I just need to place the knife in the file guide. I think I called this a file guard. I don't think it's called a file guard, but every now and again I guess I like making up new words for things. So let me get this kind of snugged up because it's going to turn on me. And then we will get this. That looks like it's right on the line. So let me snug that up, make sure we're still on the line. I think we're good. Okay, so now we got the file guide on. We're gonna square up those shoulders. So the bulk of this I'm gonna get off with the flat platen, and then just basically butt it up to the side of the platen like that, and then just run it in until I've hit where I want the thickness of my tang. Okay, now the rest of this I will get with the with a file. And I've got a couple files here. I'm not sure if this one's sharp anymore. No. So hopefully this one is. Okay. I think we are flat on the shoulders. yeah, I didn't have any sharp files, so I just slapped this back on the grinder and very delicately went this way into the grinder. I mean, this tungsten's super hard, but if you push too hard, I think the belts are still gonna bite into it. But I was careful, and yeah, we're good. It's nice and flat now. I'm gonna get this file guide off. And you can see now we've got some nice, pretty shoulders. Nice and square. So we're getting there. And I did cut this off a little shorter, and as I was doing it, I kind of wanted to punch myself because I realized that to get this cut off with the angle grinder, I had to go farther up anyway. So essentially I just made a bunch more work for myself. I should have just left it. I mean, I think I only cut off about that much, but I should have just left it because now I have to weld a chunk on there. Lessons learned. So I'm going to do a little flat platen work just to refine this profile a little bit. So the flat platen, I just need to go across the top here a little bit, and then around the belly here. And then I'm going to put my 4-inch wheel on and try to make this curve smoother. And then a small wheel to get this little ricasso area nice and pretty. Probably a 1-inch, or I might even just do that with the Dremel. We'll get it figured out. And then I'll use the 4-inch to do this curve also. Sorry, this is my 6-inch. When I said 4-inch, I meant 6-inch. I get confused. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. So let me slap the 1-inch wheel on here and see if that's going to be, well, I guess I can just check. Yeah, I think the 1-inch is going to be perfect. And I'm going to I got to slow the belt speed down. And I put a 120 on this just so it's not too aggressive. All right, that easy. Okay, there's where we are so far. And here's our template. And if I should still be a little larger than, yeah, we're pretty much right on. So not too much more wiggle room on this. So we got to start being a little more careful, I guess. I mean, we're still in a good place with this. So next step is this guy's still really thick. So I need to put this in the acid and etch it so I can see where that core is. And I am not entirely sure how thick I want this thing. I'm thinking probably 3/16 maybe, something like that. And I'm really hoping that that core is going to allow me to do that. So right now we're just under a 1/4 inch. So, you know, we need to take off, only about a 1/16 more. Maybe a little less than 3/16. 5/32, 3/16, somewhere around there. But so you're gonna etch this, slap it on the surface grinder. So you may not be able to tell, but that's very close to centered. All the way down. It's a little off to one side. I think it's a little off to this side, but that's going to be easily fixed with the surface grinding, which I'm going to go do right now. So I'm just going to do this with an 80 grit. I don't think I have enough material to remove to warrant using the 36 grit. I do have quite a bit of material to remove, but not that much. So it's going to be good right there. Okay, I'm going to take some off the other side now. Check that center core. All right, let's check it again. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. So, looks like we're, right down the middle. It's hard to tell. It's a lot easier to tell when you, have two contrasting steels, but this Damascus is so tight it almost looks black. Okay, let's see where we're at here. 0.1875, so we are almost right at 3/16. think. Is that right? 0.18? Yeah, 3/16. So that's a thickness that I want. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go take care of the extra work I created for myself and weld the little piece of tang on here. Okay, in case you're curious, so basically when I do this, I give myself a little more surface area to weld, and I'll make a little zigzag like this. That way I have more area to grab. And then basically you're not doing just one seam where you could just easily grab it and crack it in half, which, I mean, it's not going to do that anyway, but doing this just makes that seam stronger. Okay, the messes are fixed. It's almost like it never happened. Anyway, I took the side up to 120, and I took the edge up to 400, just so I could try to get a better view of the core. And the back side is actually off a little bit to this side, but the edge is, I mean, I can barely see it, so I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick this up, but it is almost perfect. From what I can tell, it looks like it's perfectly down the center. Anyway, I'm going to draw a center line on this and then some rough bevels, and this thing is going to be ready for the heat treat. Okay, let's find the middle. Drop that to the bottom, zero it out, raise it up. It should be 1.8, yeah, 1.85. So go down to 90, like 90, 92, and then I'm going to draw a line this way, and then also go from this side. And then we have a nice line down the middle. Okay, now I'm going to do some quick grinding. This blade, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to end up doing a hollow grind or not, but it kind of doesn't matter at this point. So I left my bevel line low enough that it's not actually up to the point that I'm going to do the final grind. So if I choose to do the hollow grind, I mean, I'm going to end up going farther up anyway. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes. The only thing I don't want to do at this point is go past my bevel lines, go past the center, or go past where my plunge line is going to be, which is this corner, and I'm going to angle it a little bit to do a curved plunge line. I don't want like a solid plunge line in there. So I'm going to stop kind of early just so I can have that angle on the plunge line. Okay, so it's rough. I mean, obviously you can see some issues there. But one thing I wanted to take a second to show you. So if you'll notice, I am able to follow my recurve. So when you're on a flat surface, that's difficult to do when you're flat like this, dragging it across. So to get that curve, when you're doing the inside of the curve, you'll kind of want to tip your blade like this and go in across until you get to where your curve starts the other direction, and then you can swing it around and finish that bevel on this side. So it's a little weird to get used to, because typically you want it flat, you know, but in this case you're gonna tip it out, drag it across, and then as soon as you hit the apex of that curve, it's going to start going back down. Then you'll swing your blade this direction, and you'll get this. I mean, this one's not perfect because it's a rough grind, but when I finish grind, I'll make sure that it follows a little closer. But anyway, that's how you do that. With a flat surface, it's almost impossible to follow the inside of a curve, so you have to kind of make your own curve to get through there. So hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully it helps you if you've been having troubles keeping this bevel line to follow your recurve. Hopefully it helps you do that a little bit better. I've got a bunch of brass that's in forms like this. This was an old punch that my dad used when he was a mechanic. That's a failed guard. That's another failed guard. I jacked up the slot. And then there's that was another failed guard, but I tried to melt it and pour it without the proper equipment. So I think it would be really fun to do a couple videos on building a foundry and pouring a guard correctly. I'm not a professional at foundry work, but I've done it a little bit a long time ago. So I think it'll just be a lot of fun, and hopefully you will too. But anyway, as always, thanks a ton for stopping by and joining me for this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.